The moment I stepped into Story, an upscale restaurant in the heart of the city, I felt the weight of the night ahead. It wasn't just any evening, it was our 15th wedding anniversary. I had spent weeks planning every detail, ensuring the night would be unforgettable. Story was a place she had long wanted to visit, and I had pulled every string possible to secure a reservation. The dim lighting, soft music, and gentle clinking of wine glasses created a romantic atmosphere. For now, everything seemed perfect. I arrived early to make sure every detail was just right. The table was impeccably set, a small vase of fresh roses at its center. Her favorite wine chilled in a bucket nearby, and the best seat in the house was reserved just for us. In my pocket, I carried a small gift, a delicate bracelet I had chosen after weeks of searching, meant to be the highlight of our celebration. But as the minutes ticked by, excitement turned to unease. She was late. Not just a little late, but 30 minutes had passed with no sign of her. At first, I brushed it off. Maybe traffic was bad, maybe she had to stay late at work. Still, it wasn't like her. I sent a quick text. "Hey, everything okay? Can't wait to see you." No response. Another 10 minutes. The waiter approached with a warm, understanding smile. "Would you like to order something while you wait?" he asked. I declined, forcing a nervous laugh. "She'll be here soon," I assured him, though doubt was creeping in. I glanced at my phone. No messages, no missed calls. I dialed her number, but it went straight to voicemail. An hour passed. The waiter returned, his tone more hesitant this time. "Should I hold the table a little longer?" The pity in his eyes stung more than I wanted to admit. I nodded stiffly, forcing a smile I didn't feel. My stomach churned as I called her again, this time letting it ring longer. Still nothing. The lively energy of the restaurant had started to fade, and I became acutely aware of the glances from other diners, the whispers. 2 hours. By now, the restaurant had begun to empty, the once bustling atmosphere replaced with the quiet sounds of staff cleaning up. My phone sat on the table, mocking me with its silence. I had called 3 more times, each attempt more desperate than the last. When I saw the waiter approaching again, I didn't even wait for him to speak. "Just bring me the check," I said flatly. I hadn't touched a thing. As I stepped into the crisp night air, my heart pounded with a mixture of worry and frustration. Then, as if on cue, my phone lit up with an incoming call from her number. Relief washed over me for a brief moment until I answered. "Hey, are you okay? I've been trying to reach you all night," I said, my voice shaky. There was a pause, a hesitation that immediately set me on edge. Her voice, when she finally spoke, was rushed, distracted. "Oh, hey, I'm so sorry, I got caught up. I'm, running late." No explanation, no real apology, just an empty excuse. Then I heard it, a faint laugh in the background, a clink of glass, and a man's voice, low but distinct. He was close to her. Too close. "Where are you?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Another pause. When she answered, her tone felt rehearsed. "I'm still at the office. We had a last-minute project come up, and I couldn't leave." My grip on the phone tightened. "You're still at work?" I repeated, disbelief creeping into my voice. "Yes," she snapped, suddenly defensive. "Look, I can't talk right now. I'll see you at home, okay?" Before I could respond, she hung up. The call ended, but the questions it left behind were deafening. My mind raced, replaying every second of the conversation, the background noises, the man's voice, her hurried tone. Deep down, I already knew the answer to the question I hadn't even dared to ask yet. Without hesitation, I opened our location-sharing app. Months ago, we had installed it as a precaution when she started working late shifts. I had never checked it before tonight, but now my fingers moved almost automatically. When the screen loaded, my heart sank. She wasn't at her office. She was across town, parked at a place I recognized immediately, a small, out-of-the-way motel. A wave of nausea hit me so hard I had to steady myself against a wall. The blinking dot on the screen mocked me. This wasn't a mistake. The cold, undeniable truth stared back at me. I called her one last time. This time, it went straight to voicemail. She wasn't even trying to hide it anymore. A slow, burning anger replaced the initial shock. If she was lying to me, if my worst fears were true, I needed to see it for myself. I wasn't going to sit back and wonder. Not anymore. The drive to the motel was a blur. My hands gripped the steering wheel tightly, my knuckles white. Every red light felt like an eternity. By the time I pulled into the dimly lit parking lot, my heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my ears. Her car was there, plain as day. She hadn't even tried to hide it. I sat for a moment, gripping my phone like a lifeline, my mind racing with possibilities. What if I was wrong? But no matter how I tried to rationalize it, the truth was staring me in the face. Taking a deep breath, I stepped out of the car. I opened the location-sharing app one more time. The dot confirmed what I already knew. She was inside. I turned on the video recorder on my phone. Each step toward the motel felt heavier than the last. The hallway smelled of mildew and regret. My heart hammered as I reached the door. 214. I could hear voices inside. Hers, unmistakably. His, deeper, more casual, as if this were just another night for them. I knocked firmly. Silence. Then hurried. Whispers. Footsteps. The door cracked open slightly, and there she stood, her face paled, her eyes widened in shock and dread. What are you doing here? She stammered. Her hair was tousled. Her blouse was wrinkled in a way that left no room for doubt. Behind her, he stood shirtless, frozen mid-motion. For a long moment, none of us spoke. The weight of the silence was crushing. I lifted my phone, slightly, the camera still recording. "So this is what working late looks like?" I asked, my voice eerily calm. She didn't answer. She didn't need to. Her expression said everything. Recording as I panned the camera slowly between her and him, I made sure there was no room for excuses or denials later. She opened her mouth as if to speak, but nothing came out. Her lips trembled slightly, and for a brief moment, I saw a flicker of shame in her eyes. This isn't what it looks like," she finally managed, her voice shaky and unconvincing. I let out a bitter laugh. "Not what it looks like?" I repeated, raising an eyebrow as I gestured around the room. The unmade bed, the half-empty bottle of wine on the nightstand, his shoes carelessly tossed in the corner. "So tell me, what does it look like then? Enlighten me." Her coworker, because now I could put a face to the name she'd occasionally dropped in casual conversations, shifted uncomfortably but didn't say a word. He looked young, probably in his late 20s, and had the audacity to appear almost apologetic, as though this wasn't entirely his fault. I could see the fear in his eyes, and honestly, I wasn't sure whether to laugh or lash out. "I think you should leave," I said, my gaze fixed on him. My voice was cold, and I saw the weight of those words land heavily on him. He hesitated for a moment, looking to her as if silently asking for permission or guidance, but she didn't respond. "Now," I added, my tone leaving no room for negotiation. Without another word, he grabbed his shirt, his shoes, and whatever dignity he had left, then brushed past me, avoiding eye contact as he disappeared out the door. The sound of it slamming shut echoed in the room, leaving just the two of us behind. For a moment, neither of us spoke. She stood there, her arms crossed tightly over her chest, as if trying to shield herself from the reality of what had just happened. I could see the tears welling up in her eyes, but they didn't stir any sympathy in me. Not tonight. "How long?" I finally asked, my voice low but firm. "How long has this been going on?" She looked at me, her expression a mix of guilt and desperation. It just happened. It wasn't planned, I swear. Not planned? I scoffed, the bitterness in my tone unmistakable. You expect me to believe that? This wasn't a mistake. Mistakes don't look like this. I gestured around the room again, my voice rising. This was a choice you made over and over, again. She tried to reach for my hand, but I pulled away, the gesture feeling like a slap in the face. Please, let me explain, she pleaded, her voice cracking.